This is the Evil Never Dies podcast midweek show. Keep it evil, everyone.
The Evil Never Dies podcast.
What's up, evil ones? Welcome back to the Evil Never Dies podcast. I'm Brett. This is episode 253, midweek show. Hope everybody's doing good this week so far. My back still hurts from helping my ex-wife move stuff into a storage unit because she's getting ready to move. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Although I'm getting way too old to be doing that shit. This week I'm going to be discussing and rating AC/DC Highway to Hell from 1979. The band members on this album are bonscott, lead vocals, angusyoung, lead guitar, malcomyoung, rhythm guitar and backing vocals, cliffwilliams, bass guitar and backing vocals, and philrudd on drums. Okay, let's go a little bit over the production here. It's a little screwy. U.S. record label Atlantic Records had the bright idea that for them to make it big in the U.S. that they needed to get a well-known producer who could give them a radio-friendly sound. And this really pissed off Angus and malcomyoung because their older brother George and Harry Vonda had produced their previous albums, and they felt that George was being really disrespected by Atlantic Records, basically calling him an amateur and like he didn't have a great track record when it came to production, which is sort of bullshit. So anyway, they brought in Eddie Kramer, famous record producer, worked with the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Kiss, Jimi Hendrix. So they went down to Miami, Florida to Criteria Studios, and they were down there for about a month. This was at the end of December of '78, and they butted heads, and he wanted them to do a cover song of Spencer Davis, "Give Me Some Lovin'," and they were like, "No, we can't handle this." So on a Saturday morning, they went in the studio by themselves, and they knocked out 6 tracks. And actually sent the tape to record producer Mutt Lange. And they also fired their manager Michael Browning and hired Peter Mensch, who basically started the careers of Aerosmith and Ted Nugent. So with Mutt Lange on board, they went over to Roundhouse Studio in London from January until April of '79, and basically wrote the songs for the first 3 months up until the end of March, fine-tuned everything, and then actually recorded from the 24th of March to the 14th of April 1979. Genre is hard rock. Length of the album is 41 minutes, 38 seconds. The labels are Albert Productions from Australia and Atlantic Records everywhere else. And it was re-released in 2003 on Epic Records. This album was the first album by the band to break the top 100 of the U.S. Billboard 200 chart, eventually reaching number 17 in 1981. And it ended up being certified 7 times platinum on May 25th, 2006. And it also hit number 13 in their home country of Australia and number 8 in the UK. Rest of the production team, we got engineer Mark Deemley, assistant engineer Kevin Dallimore. It was mixed at Basing Street Studios in London, England by Tony Platt. Art direction is Bob Deffrin and photography by Jim Houghton. Alright, on to the track listing. Side 1, track 1, the title track to the album, Highway to Hell, and that was released as their first single. Track 2, Girls Got Rhythm, and that was released as their second single. Track 3, Walk All Over You. Track 4, Touch Too Much, and that was actually released as their third single, but not until 1980. Track 5, Beating Around the Bush. On to side 2, we got track 6, Shot Down in Flames. Track 7, Get It Hot. Track 8, If You Want Blood, You've Got It, which was actually the name of their live album that they released before this one. Track 9, Love Hungry Man, and Angus Young said this is the worst song he's ever written in his life. And last but not least, we got track 10, Night Prowler, which was infamous with serial killer Richard Ramirez. Supposedly, the cops found an AC/DC hat at one of his crime scenes. Evidently, Night Prowler was his favorite AC/DC song, so, and they called him the Night Stalker, so there you go. He's dead now. But the band did catch a lot of flack because of that, and had album burnings and protests at concerts and all that shit. So, and the band swears that the album is, or the song is talking about a boy sneaking into his girlfriend's bedroom in the middle of the night. So, take it as you will. Alright, on to the tour. Basically, right after they got done recording the album, they went on the road at the beginning of May, opening up for UFO. And I actually seen them on this tour. It was my first concert ever. On June 4th, 1979, Peoria, Illinois, Bradley University Fieldhouse. I won tickets off the radio. I didn't even know I was calling to request a song, and I actually won the tickets. So, awesome show though. And let's see here. After the U.S. tour with UFO, they went back over to Europe. Did a couple of different legs. The first leg, they had Def Leppard opening the show. And the second leg, they had Judas Priest open up for them. So, now sadly, this would be Bon Scott's last album with the band, because as we all know, he passed away on February 19th, 1980 of acute alcohol poisoning. And I'm pretty sure he sort of froze to death too, because his friend left him in his car overnight to sober up. They were actually in pre-production for the Back in Black album then. So, sad, sad, sad. Imagine what Bon would be doing today if he was still alive. Now, I'm just going to say this is my favorite Bon Scott era AC/DC album by far. Love this album. Back in the early 80s, when the satanic panic all started, and they were doing the backward, people were doing the backwards masking shit. Had a friend of mine that we would always over to his house and listen to albums and smoke weed and shit, and he started playing that shit backwards one time. It was just fucking hilarious. Really, there's only one song on this album that I'm not a big fan of, and that's that "Love Hungry Man." I'm with Angus on that. It's probably the worst song on the album for sure, but everything else is great, man. Can't go wrong with this album for sure. And just because of that song, I am going to give this a 4.5 devil horns. So, all right, everybody, that's all I got for AC/DC Highway to Hell. Thanks for watching, listening. Join us on social medias. Join our Evil Ones group. We're getting up there now. We got a bunch of people in there now. We just had like 5 or 6 people join last week. So join the group. Hit that like and subscribe on the YouTube. Leave us a review on whatever podcast format you listen to us on. And that's all I got for this week. I don't know what we're doing for Sunday's episode yet. Haven't really discussed it with Carl yet, but I'm sure you won't watch it anyway, so. All right, everybody. Thanks again, and stay evil, everybody.
Singer of the rock group AC/DC was found dead last night in a parked car in South London. Scotland Yard said the body of 30-year-old Bonscott was discovered by a friend who had left him in the car hours earlier to sober up after a day's drinking. We talked to Rick Davies of Capital Radio in London, and he filed this report.
The friend who discovered Scott being unconscious, Alistair Kinnear, said that he met up with Bond to go to a music club in London, the Music Machine, last night, but he was pretty drunk when I picked him up. Then Scott apparently got there and they drank several more whiskeys. Scott's known for having been a heavy drinker, and also in 1973, when he was still in Australia, he was forced to stop singing for a while because of his drug problems. So yes, the suspicions are that this was the result of some heavy drinking.